Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a hidden architecture that most people literally never see until they're already trapped inside of it. We're going to uncover how the legal and tax systems are structurally designed to extract your family's wealth. Now, we usually think of our assets, our real estate, our retirement accounts, as legally fortified, right? Protected by the very laws we abide by. But what if the exact opposite is true? What if the system actively encourages you to build that wealth, only to harvest it when you're at your absolute most vulnerable? It's a pretty shocking question, I know. What if the financial system is actually designed to butcher your family's wealth? We naturally just assume the state wants to protect marriage and those lifelong commitments we make. But if you look at the historical and modern reality, it shows us something completely different. The system actually treats marriage like a temporary, fragile financial contract, and it explicitly plans for its breakdown to harvest massive fees. The state basically watches the estate grow and then profits immensely off the inevitable friction of separation. History actually gives us a brilliant illustration of how this kind of institutional power operates. Kings like Henry VIII didn't just casually annul marriages on a personal whim. When a high-ranking marriage was dissolved historically, the mass of estates and territories that had been unified were violently fractured or just stripped away by the state entirely. The modern equivalent? Well, it isn't an executioner's axe. It's court-ordered asset liquidations, forced house sales, and massive tax triggers that perfectly redistribute your wealth back into the system. Imagine a solid, unified block of your marital assets. Now, picture sharp, aggressive edges just violently slicing right into that unified spectrum. This is exactly what the legal and tax systems do. It's an active fracturing of your unified assets. The system relies entirely on the basic biological and social urge of people to pair up and build things together, and then those sharp edges come in to carve it all up. But here's the catch. Before the slicing can happen, the system has to ensure there's actually something worth carving. This is what we call fattening the pig. The state offers incredibly lucrative carrots like lower tax brackets, joint real estate exemptions, and unified estate limits. These incentives convince individuals to bind their fortunes together. It acts as a financial funnel, building this massive pool of capital that is perfectly primed, concentrated, and ready for the slaughterhouse. Section 1. The manufactured legal friction. The crucial point here is how this friction is intentionally generated. The standard legal model relies entirely on billable hours. Because attorneys are financially incentivized by the hour, the whole process is designed to drain the marital estate to harvest massive fees. We're talking unnecessary pretrial motions and aggressive discovery requests for the most minor documents. They take tiny disagreements, maybe over who gets the family couch or some minor scheduling detail, and frame them as high-stakes battles just to keep clients angry. And worst of all, they deliberately delay settlement, advising against early compromises strictly to rack up those trial preparation fees. Section 2. Slicing the asset pig and its hidden traps. One of the absolute biggest mechanisms of this slaughter is the real estate tax trap. When you're married and filing jointly, the tax code generously allows you to exclude up to $500,000 of capital gains profit from selling your primary residence. But the second you're divorced, that exclusion instantly drops to $250,000 per person. To avoid losing hundreds of thousands of dollars to this sudden tax penalty, couples are basically forced into the arms of specialized attorneys and forensic appraisers, funneling massive fees to professionals just to engineer a clean, tax-efficient exit. And man, it gets even more complicated with Internal Revenue Code Section 1041. On the surface, this rule allows property to be transferred between divorcing spouses tax-free. Sounds like a great benefit, right? Actually, it's a hidden trap. The spouse receiving the asset unknowingly inherits its original hidden tax basis. This rule just kicks the tax liability down the road, ensuring that equal dollar amounts transferred on paper absolutely do not result in equal post-tax value in reality. Let's put some numbers to that exact trap so you can see what I mean. If one spouse takes a $1 million retirement account and the other takes a $1 million cash escrow, they absolutely did not receive equal value. The retirement account has a hidden future income tax liability, meaning its true post-tax value is significantly lower. Because of this hidden trap, you can't just split things 50-50. You're forced to hire CPAs and financial planners to run complex, multi-year tax projections just to figure out what you actually own. The industry harvests incredible fees purely from this complexity. And speaking of retirement accounts, dividing them triggers the Q-Draw-O fee machine. A qualified domestic relations order is a highly specific, mandatory legal order required by the IRS to move pension or retirement money without triggering immediate taxes and a harsh 10% early withdrawal penalty. Here's the kicker. A standard individual cannot draft a Q-draw. You are forced to pay premium hourly or flat fees to specialized drafting attorneys and actuaries simply to format the paperwork to the exact specifications of both the IRS and the corporate pension plan. Section 3. The custody arbitrage game. 183. That is the exact number of overnight stays a parent must legally cross in a single year to secure the lucrative head of household tax status and claim vital child tax credits. Why? Because the tax code dictates these benefits cannot be shared equally. The difference between filing as single versus head of household can literally mean thousands of dollars in annual tax savings. This financial delta turns child custody battles into high-stakes tax engineering. Lawyers routinely bill tens of thousands of dollars litigating over the exact schedule of overnight stays. It perfectly illustrates how the tax code itself fattens the pig for the professional services industry. They are out there fighting over days on a calendar, weaponizing children purely for the tax advantage. Section 4. Escaping the slaughterhouse. So, is there a way out? Yes, absolutely. Setting up a trust that costs about as much as a hamburger is entirely possible if you just cut out the middlemen. You can bypass the butcher by using clean, automated processes like standardized statutory trust forms and digital transfer on death or TOD designations. You also have to be extremely careful to avoid the funding trap, where the state deliberately charges recording fees and transfer taxes just to legally change the deed of your house into the trust's name. You see, the legal industry deliberately keeps trust laws complex to create what's known as a litigation loophole. They completely rely on ambiguity and friction to force you back into their expensive offices so they can pierce the trust during a lawsuit. But a clean, automated process leaves absolutely nothing for the legal barber to shave. Systems like binding arbitration and automated asset division starve both the legal and state machines of their precious entry fees. So now that we've exposed the massive, incredibly efficient machinery of this slaughterhouse, the ultimate question is right in front of you. Is your family's wealth truly fortified, or is it just waiting in the pen for the butcher? What concrete steps are you going to take today to ensure your hard-earned assets survive the system completely intact? Think about it and start planning your escape.